At any rate, Narina goes back to where she was living, and she writes him this rather passionate letter like, are you the voice that I've been speaking to me all this time? Is it you? And he wrote her back and says, yes, it is me, but I don't want you to share it yet. Don't share it with anyone. So that was 1931. And then what's
And
about he wanted her to meet?
he actually said in that he wanted, before she shared it, for her, I don't know that he said before he shared it, but he said he wanted her to find him personally. Through her intuition, this voice was an connection with the impersonal God, and that now he wanted to find her personally, her to find him personally. So that's what happened in the years between then and the Gnostic period. So this voice that was her constant companion, I mean, throughout her life, um, to me, when Baba characterizes these articles, which I cite in the advertisement for Sunday's talk, he talks about the articles up till now being in the mystical language. And to me, it's when I think of being a writer and you reflect on what you're going to write, I just can't help but feel that whether they're a narrative or whatever the content of these articles are, they're part of a body of literature that is sourced in her intuitive connection with the impersonal God. And so, and that's to be fully, it's basically to be fully explored internally in each one of them as we react to them. That's why, in terms of that we're discussing today, but I would like on these Thursday things just to read through the articles. And at times they will get dense or seemingly dense for the intellect. And it's at that time that
You
we
should
can
say for the dense, because we all have our share of density. Because, I mean, I guess God's been talking to us since we were amoebas, but how, when do we listen? How much do we hear?
So yeah, so the now so that's the thing, and we can continue to read them on our own afterwards. Um, but there's an advantage collectively. That's one of the things I think was the blessing of the Monday night sharing was, each week, and it was funny how some in Myrtle Beach, Judy out in
Yeah.
Washington, um, Nancy and Midwest,
Michigan,
upper
yeah,
Midwest,
yeah.
kind of spread over the country reading these. There's an advantage in sharing them in terms of the field of consciousness.
And when we do the reading, when we would do it with the UK, Havovi used to come.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was interesting. We'd have that Eastern connection too.
So anyway, just so next week we're doing the Sri Mayor Baba tour of India, 9-day tour. And this actually took place in 1937. And these articles are from Narina's notes. There's certain ellipses you'll see. She didn't do and quote everything from her notes, but source them from her diary. And so we'll read them. I don't think we'll get through them all this today. We'll continue next week with any of the tour that we haven't done, and then we'll continue on through the next articles. And then on this Sunday at 3:00, I'm gonna just go over again the context of these articles, the place of these articles, and the role of intuition as it's open to us at this period where we're past the Mandali being present with us. And so it has to do that what I'll be bringing up this Sunday will be entitled Mayor Baba Announcing the Age of Intuition. which he didn't really do in like announcing the new life or something like that. This was just one paragraph in Avatar, the first discourse, which describes everything about the Avatar and the perfect masters and the hierarchy, the 56. But the thing that really stands out is this one paragraph where he mentions that this is the age of intuition. And I'm going to connect it with the life messages, which has also been present, but haven't been really appreciated as demarking the last period of Baba's life as the life period, in which he gives his lovers freedom to lead their own life. And if you're leading your own life, what do you look to but God within, and the intuition? So it's the import of the life messages, and we'll look at some of the key ones at the beginning, that to me brings forth the significance of the Blue Bus tours and Narina's articles, because they were sourced, as Baba says, they were sourced in the impersonal God through her intuition. And so what is important about them, he says specifically, is not the meaning, it's the source. And so he says that the only thing that's necessary in reading these articles is it's not necessary to understand them. It's only necessary to read them with reverence. So basically, we're in these initial articles, we're going to get the context, and then pretty quickly, we're going to get into some of them that will exercise our, let's say, put on the shelf our intellect and exercise our intuition, or just our.
I call it a mental vacation because the world is such a mess right now that, I need God straight talking about what's going on. What is it? It's without question, I accept it. He said it's the most executive way he can talk. And boy, I felt it at times like, whoa, yeah, I'm so grateful for it.
Hey, Prakash. Jai
Prakash,
Baba.
Jai
Baba.
Baba, Jai Baba, both of you.
We just got into a little introduction, but we're just about to start with the last 2 weeks. We read the first 4 articles written by Nareen in the Mayor Baba journals, called Sri Baba Impressions, which particularly the first 2, they're all an excellent introduction, but particularly the first 2 in terms of the themes that'll come in the later articles. And now we're recounting from her diary. She pulls from her diaries a 9-day tour she took with Baba in 1937. And we'll get through a fair amount of that and then continue it next Thursday. And the last thing is this Sunday, it's on the Baba Zoom. There'll be a talk and discussion about the context for the significance of these articles as it relates to the Baba announcing we're entering into the age of intuition and his life messages.
Beautiful.
And Baba did say to Adi Kearani, his wonderful secretary that I was lucky to meet, that he brought us as avatar he perfected sensation, which all animals have, with reason. And now, the way I see it, reason's gone pretty bad. And he's taking us from reason gone bad to intuition. And boy, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh, you guys read so beautifully. I just love to listen. It's like music. So keep going. I may not say anything, but I love listening to those beautiful words.
Speaking of music, we'll sing our little 5-liner from the mystical language.
Okay.
Oneness is rest in being. Oneness is rest in being. Being is rest in oneness. Being is rest in oneness.
Oneness is rest.
I
That's
tell
the
you.
end. That's the.
That's
That's very
Yeah.
musical, beautiful.
Yeah, I tell
It
you
works.
that makes me relax on bad days.
It works in both directions. It actually is just oneness is rest in being, and it really is a nice thing to reflect on.
You can
Oh.
only be yourself is the bottom line, and we happen to be God,
Actually,
trying to get back.
Actually, we'll end with another one that says a quote that's similar that Scott put to music. But for now, let's start today's articles. So these are from 1937, extracts from Narina's diary, published by Narina. In the Blue Bus, in the Mayor Baba journals. Sri Mayor Baba's tour of 9 days through central India by Princess Narina Machabeli. In October 1937, while still in Europe, Baba called me and said, "We shall return soon to India, and there I want you to join me on a trip through certain cities. I want you to see me at work there as you have seen me at work here." When Baba says to do a thing, that is the moment when he wants it to be done. And when he wants it to be done, that is the time to do it. So it happens that he drew out the following itinerary of his 9 days trip on the West Coast through central India. We are to leave Mehrabad on December 20th, 1937, and we stop at Telegaon, Bombay, Navsari, and Nagpur, returning to Mehrabad on December 30th. The trip is to be started on the days prescribed a long time ahead on trains which Baba personally selects so as to reach the places in time where he needs to be for his work. On this 9 days tour, Baba makes himself available to man. He calls on man to be in readiness, whether he encircles the globe or designs in no time a huge, extravagant expedition to the south of France. It is to call on man to spur the spiritual want, to renew in atmosphere the swinging show of divine love.
He gives appointments ahead to see X on such a date at a definite hour for a minute or two, as the case may require. Once he took the most rapid express through Europe, enduring the physical strain for 18 hours ride to see for a few moments a child. He goes to Talegaon to see two brothers. In Nagpur, he is requested to see the masses. Whether it is to adjust small family troubles or to advise a huge cosmopolitan assembly of men in search for truth, or to hold alive for a few days longer a soul that has to transgress life, he stages his work in time. No matter the method and no matter the proportion of reward, invisible faith awakening, no matter if he will be recognized, he is sure to want in them the truth. He does in work, in life, in being, the awakening, places and circumstances, whichever suit his show. Talegaon, the 20th December 1937. This little village is the first stop on our tour. There happens to be a short pause in activities when Baba comes to my room and orders me to start writing my impressions from the time we left Mehrabad, that same day in the morning. It is now afternoon. Whenever Baba goes, wherever Baba goes, he holds at first a general revision of the home. He walks from room to room into the kitchen, the servants' quarters, the stables, the garden. He takes in the people's troubles and small disputing worries. And if there is a cat or a dog, none are left out. His huge universal heart and hand must at once feel out the state of affairs of everyone and everything.
And so it happens that Baba designates for each of us the room where we are to spend the night. Walking along the terrace, Baba stops before the small entrance that has hanging over the door the insignia of courtroom. He turns around and looks at me with a certain sense of humor, showing me this tiniest courtroom in all the world, where Telangana disposes of its rights and wrongs. This room has been turned into a bedroom for the occasion, and Baba, with humorous delight, offers it to me for the night. Before I describe the exquisite hospitality of these dear, wonderful people, A, the Honorable Magistrate, and Mrs. A, his wife, our perfect hostess, I will return to the initial start of our trip. We leave Mehrabad at 6 a.m. precise. The sun is quietly rising behind the distant hills of Chandbibi, where lived the daring Mohammedan queen in the past history of Ahmednagar. Our road leads via Pune. We motor along the soft curving mountains I know so well that encircle the distant horizon of Mehrabad, and which we contemplate every evening in Baba's company at sunset. The atmosphere is still and blue at this early hour, and all seems to function right in its own experience. We pass white bundled figures, herding goats, lazy dogs, abandoned in their own struggle of life, lying around within the boundaries of a tiny village. Baba, looking at all these small lives in poor huts, says, "How I love these." We approach Pune. In the distance, we recognize the landmark of the white-towered turf club with its elegant gates, and we all make the wish to see Baba's childhood home. Baba willingly accepts the plan.
It is 8 a.m. when the car gently swings into a small lane and stops in front of a large, comfortable-looking house. Adi, Baba's brother, accustomed to surprises, hearing the familiar sound of the horn, walks out leisurely to greet us, holding in his deep emotion. Humbly prostrating himself to the ground, takes darshana from his unique brother. Baba's mother, cheering us cordially from behind a curtain, apologizes for not being dressed to play up to the occasion. But Baba, who times with measure unfathomable, does not wait. He rushes us out of the main house over to the other side of the lane, where at the joining point of 3 streets stands a smaller house, Baba's childhood home. The house apparently is not in use, although the windows and the shutters seem to be newly painted blue. With great animation, Baba himself opens the door. The inside is empty, the atmosphere clear, quiet, and full of awe. There are 2 rooms on the ground floor. To one side of the entrance is a circular wall forming a bathing space where little Mirwan used to be given his ablutions. Thus told us the mother, who meanwhile has arrived. Baba makes the following statement. One day, men from all parts of the world will come on pilgrimage, and we shall witness then, as we do now, the miracle of his blessed life. The miracle is in him a presage, is in him a presage of divine order since age and time. But no one is the pure one without the divine creation plan of martyrdom having been fulfilled to the end state. So in childhood, he was pure, real, good, and unselfish always. Little Merwan was also full of energy and fire, giving fun and joy to all.
A small vertical stepladder leads to the upper floor. Baba shows us the way. We follow. We stand in a chamber-like space crushed under its low ceiling. Here Baba used to spend those significant hours in anguish, waiting to descend to make himself available to mankind as the pure human, as the divine experiment in its fulfilled order in being, in truth. Here he remained aloof in his divine selfless state in mind, still unself-conscious, and too often disturbed by good friends and members of the family, especially by his good mother, who did not trust his unfathomable state above mind and wanted to keep him the same as he was before. Merwan, her precious son. So she tried to do her best to hold him down closer to her by making him eat specially well-prepared earthly food. Baba, wistfully, in a joking manner, wanting to make us acquainted with facts, described how he used to hide the food, which was too heavy for him to digest, by hiding it in an old drawer and then into his pockets at nighttime when he would leave the house and deposit it somewhere in the street for hungry dogs to eat. Overwhelmed by the atmosphere of many sacred memories, we are carried away, feeling the conscious contact with him present, he the life, the God-realized man. The divine theme seems vast against the trivial background of small facts. With sudden changing mood, Baba bids us quickly climb down and return to the main house. Baba makes us walk through all the rooms which at present are occupied by his mother, Shireen Mai, Adi, his youngest brother, and his brother Bayram's family. The house is comfortable and roomy and neatly kept.
Baba is intensely amused. He wants to show us more. We rush on to the courtyard. There is the famous well with its excellent water and the big tree that Baba recognizes as an old friend. The connecting smaller houses encircle this garden and at present are occupied by strangers who all are very well acquainted with the saintliness of the place. At the other end, Baba points to two doors carefully locked with huge chains and padlocks. Mother, who is a little anxious to dramatize the past of the adolescent god, says, "This was his prayer chapel." But Baba, interrupting her, discreet as usual, explains, "Here I have spent many hours in solitude, and in that room," pointing to the other door. Gustaji, then his colleague, now his disciple, kept vigil. We returned to the main quarters, but before leaving the house, Baba pauses at the doorway. He seems to be absorbed in his childhood memories, and then suddenly says, "Here, when I was a small boy, I used to play wild games with my chums." How those small fellows who, then in no way conscious of his unfathomable being, dared to touch him in their boyish, crude manner, and experience in furious adversity their childish games. But how he loved them, how he, already then, although unconscious of his powers, was pouring joy and divine love, and how, for all that he has been adored, beloved, and intuitively followed. At that time, Merwan was full of fun and mischief, but knowing and wise. His word even then was accepted. People around used to listen to the charm of his voice with its incomparable sweetness. The unfathomable life in him drew from the divine source and created thrill of indivisible love, unselfish affection, and friendship in so many.
Baba's arrival and departure is always quick, but deep in its effect. We are ordered to leave, and without special ceremony, we wave goodbye through the window of the car and speed off to Telangana, our next halt. Baba arrives at Telangana as the executive modern factor in being order of truth, who comes to work facts of truth. We have reached Telangana. Sri Mayor Baba seems, as usual, to want to avoid formalities and ceremonies. Therefore, the welcome of the unique guest has to be rushed and hushed. While Baba accepts the beautiful garlands hastily walking through the little garden, he lifts them off. The garden is sweet, filled with multicolored flags waving us welcome. Baba enters his room, the usual quarters prepared for him on the occasions of his rare visits. At once, Baba, in his executive manner, calls for the different members of the family, the two brothers-in-law, the hostess, and also R, her brother from Nasik. Baba's order was that during this visit to Telangana, he would not see crowds of people, but when A lays before Baba his practical viewpoint, that it would be better to see a few important men and a few of his best clients who were clamoring for Baba's darshana, and give them a chance to meet his august guest, Baba leniently smiles, stating, "Do as you think best." This he often does.
Baba came especially to look into the personal affairs concerning the two brothers who are partners in business. It seems there is much to adjust between them. All these small or huge complications are the usual nightmare in the mind of man that he, the true friend of man, will take on to him in compassion, dissolve, and readjust. A perfect luncheon is served at 11 a.m., cooked by the hostess's own hands. On such occasions, it is customary when the master visits his disciples and is a sign of deep respect for the disciple to cook and serve the meal for the master and his party, regardless of their number. It is a demonstration of selflessness and devotion. The program for the afternoon is to motor to the Meher rice mill, the ancient fortress of Taligawan, which Baba never misses to see, and the glass factory. The excursion had its reason. When Baba moves, heaven and hell moves too. The first stop is at Mayhair Rice Mill, not far from the official residences, including missions, bank, post office, etc. The mill is a huge shack, but to visit the rice mill is not the only reason for Baba's appearance. There are two black-eyed, joyous young men, simple workmen, whom Baba loves very dearly, who have also to be looked up from time to time, and whom he has to touch and stir to enhance their spiritual courage, look into their eyes, and renew his own life in them. Baba takes in the whole work and leaves behind that unfathomable smile, which is so sure and real and good and makes everyone feel sure and real and good.
We drive on to the fortress. It has the appearance of an ancient, gigantic monument. Huge forms towering over other forms in ruins seem the work of some giant of obscure age. Fallen trees, jungle-like vegetation, bright, shining, strange-looking flowers filled with venomous juice. Parrot-like birds all seem to live with and against one another in natural excitement of life. All of a sudden, Baba takes a running flight to the far end of this wild jungle garden. There, like a majestic, solid mold in human form, he stands still, right in the center of the red, gold, purple, and blue circle of light of the setting sun. He, the truth being in existence, throwing the divine shadow of its own phenomena, the setting sun in Telangana. Again, we realize how the smallest adventure can become a spiritual romance when with him we walk through life. We leave feeling light and refreshed. Our next halt is at the glass factory. Baba's wish for us to see this little establishment is very definite. We walk in, and it was as if we were passing from process of making. We see light fluid matter, which in its process through fire becomes solid glass. We see a potter taking inarticulate matter, making a form which it itself is art. We see the God-man forming men and expanding souls. The two young workmen come to take Baba's darshana. They realize that Baba's coming has a meaning, and they live up to the occasion with humility.
Mhm.
Also, these two humble worshippers, whether conscious or unconscious, belong to the spiritual pioneers of mankind and are destined to participate in the new awakening, whether in Telangana or New York, in Paris or in Palestine, which Baba today governs.
We return home. A line of people are already waiting in the garden. Meanwhile, the weather, unusual to its season, suddenly changes. It is bitter cold, and all the preparations for the evening feast, which was to be held in the garden, has to be abandoned. The little living room has to be quickly transformed into the holy place. To do this is easy because wherever Baba is, a barren space becomes life, light, pure air. These virtues replace in beauty the external seductions. The music is heard from the garden, while in still reverence, A few devotees are sitting at Baba's feet. Whether good or bad, self-important or unimportant in social position, we see men, women, children kneel and bow, making the cross in the order of Christ, or prostrate themselves in other religious manner in experience of pain or joy before this grace in being who never did but smile. Without giving more attention to the postmaster or the banker or the owner of the best shop or the schoolmaster than to any soul in need, he takes in close into his pure heart all life. Poor or destitute, hungry pilgrims of different caste, for all, he, impartial, pure, is the same sign of divinity for whom these intrepid seekers for truth cross rivers, valleys, and mountains, taking endless roads on foot. It is a rush towards God, soul, and happiness. The procession goes on until late.
We are now all ordered to retire to our rooms. The night is good, quiet, and without dreams for all of us, but for one who is restless all night outside Baba's door, waiting for grace, merged in exciting anguish of his struggling mind. At the right moment, Baba opens the door. It is 4 a.m. and A's brother-in-law walks in, quiet, unconditional in acceptance. The wakeful night in front of the master's door has changed him into a new man. He is ready to realize what, in the struggle of his mind the day before, he was unable to understand. Later, the judge, his wife, and all of us are called into a room to witness the turning point. It happens that all come out right. Everybody feels sure and is ready to give in. The peacemaker has reconciled the differences. Each one realizes in his appeased mind that within all differences lies truth disguised. We realize the impersonal standpoint begins to be of use to us when in being we awaken, leaving behind order, clarity, peace of mind. Baba gives the signal to depart. We speed on to Bombay. It is the 21st of December. The air is nice and cool, quiet and blue is the range of romantic mountains where Shivaji, the king and great warrior, destroyed the Mohammedan enemies who fought against him.
In Bombay, Baba is given quarters in the home of a close disciple on Frere Road. Many people are already waiting in the long corridor when Baba, in his real executive manner, at once seeing the need in the hearts of these many, begins to open the eternal well of his great curing life. While watching the questioning anguish of all these people who call for grace, it seems as if now mankind's ordeal has come to some climax in suffering. Again, in unending compassion and patience, Baba takes on the human struggle and makes light and fluid hope in everyone's heart. We are invited for luncheon to the home of C's brother. The reception is cheers of merry love. The house is filled with young and old people and children who, in their natural simplicity, respond lightly and unhampered to Baba's love. Among the events during this gathering, we wish to recall a little anecdote. A charming young Parsi mother asked to be received as soon as possible because she can no longer control her very bad-tempered Baba. This little 2 weeks creature, the mother tells, is subject to fits of anger so fierce that it is torture to all who have to witness. The child is as small as a doll, unusual in size, but almost perfect in its tiny proportions. To be compared to a small edition of Krishna or Ram or any god of some other name. Baba has been informed of the difficult case, but for good reason creates suspense. The atmosphere catches his peace rhythm, and in it suddenly the child grows calm. The drama handled with discretion and care by Baba. From a distance, indeed works pure and deep. The child falls fast asleep. After a while, Baba calls for the mother and the little one. When he takes the child into his arms, under his look, the child's eyes open. The meeting of the soul with the all-soul was sure. The divine dream, as in a fairy story, the child must have experienced. The sign of grace is on the little face. It is the blissful glow that we in him worship. Never shall I forget the beauty of the miracle on that child's face. Never have I seen the limitless soul radiate in so small a form. The mother, who is well aware of the powerful unseen work of Baba, when going out of the room, carries the child up high like a glorified idol, herself having the unique expression of unquestioned faith.
We returned to Farah Road. Several of Baba's disciples have arrived from various places. Among them are who left Mehrabad at the time of Baba's last trip to Europe. Not wishing to be there during Baba's absence, he accepted the call to teach in a girls' school in Bombay. R appears to me changed, as though he was going through a new phase of adjustment. In his eyes is the fire of war. I could not follow the excited arguments between him and Baba, who, unusually energetic, is holding a long discussion on his board in vernacular. One sentence in English left a definite picture in my mind. Baba's words were, "A man who cannot control action is not a man." Baba, who always gives us the ultimate outlook, no doubt wanted to enhance within all who were present the impetus to drive on with unflinching courage to the very end. That is aloofness from experience as life of subjective reaction. N from Nasik is another friend well acquainted with Baba's work. He tells about P, who again is put on a further test. Such are called the intervals of separation from Baba. Baba's message to P on this particular occasion is, I suffer every second of my life untold tortures. You have to share. It is now the last phase. When you see me again, you will see me in my true self. While N is reporting all this in a low voice, Baba hears it and turning round writes on his board, gossip. To him, the pure silent one, all these facts as told by us in our half-conscious childish manner must appear as mere gossip. Nevertheless, Baba smilingly urges us to go on. Furthermore, we hear P has to go on a begging tour, that it will be very hard for him. He will be abused by many, but he will stand it bravely. To us, this seems naturally. On the 23rd of December at 6 a.m., we take the train called the Flying Rani for Navsari. On the train, a young man called M, who is to be married to one of the D girls on the 27th of December, has come to Bombay especially to escort Baba, who is to be the guest of the bride's family.
The D family of Navsari is one of the most influential and prominent Parsi families in the Baroda state. Since many generations, they were great landowners. These estates were gifts to the family for services rendered to the state of the former Maharaja of Gaikwad. The family can be traced back for 28 generations, having lived on that estate. During the evening, we are informed of the exceptional preparations for the marriage feast to be held in the home of the bride's famous uncle, the well-known author in Gujarati language who, for many months, has been very ill. When Baba moves in the lives of men, it is always for some great warning. Baba's visit to Navsari is to call for a soul. He goes to see the dying man to ordain in him the divine will, to help him on through the redeeming transgression. Later on, while discussing among them ourselves some subtle subjects, suddenly Baba, with the speed of lightning, interrupts the waste and exertion of our minds, making the following statement on selfless service.
God as God alone is not consciously man, and man as man alone is not consciously God. The God-man is consciously both God and man. So the God-man is both Lord and the servant of the universe. Lord in the state of helping all souls towards reality, servant as continuously bearing the burden of all. To serve him who serves all is serving the universe. Selfless service and love are twin divine qualities. Only the one who loves can serve. Serve your beloved God-man, and you are serving your own self in every other self. The service he exacts is for your own spiritual benefit, but this service must be spontaneous, willing, wholehearted, unconditional, and not expecting any reward. His service is an ordeal which ties body, mind, and spirit, or else wherein would the perfection of serving lie if it were to be easy and at one's convenience? The body suffers, mind is tormented, but the spirit of the selfless server of the master experiences the bliss of satisfaction. Only the one who has can renounce. A king giving up everything and becoming a beggar is his true renunciation. And so only the one who without any question and regardless of consequences serves the God-man, really serves. Otherwise, it would be just like paid labor. Jai Meher Baba. So we'll continue next Thursday with the remaining 9 days tour in 1937.
Did you want to say about Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday at 3 o'clock, 3 to 4:30 at the Circle, and on Zoom we'll have a talk and discussion on Meher Baba announcing the age of intuition with reference to Narina's articles in the Meher Baba journals, and Baba's life circulars began February 6, 1952, at the end of what was Manonash and the New Life on February 6, and the beginning of his life period, which extended from February of 1952 till January of 1969.
We say that little bit about the first one, what it said. You can stay with me.
Well, in that first message, which you can, if you want to read them in advance, please do. But the first message, Baba refers to his accomplishment of completing the Manonash work to his satisfaction, but leaving the divine to the divine sanction and the divine decree when it actually manifests. There's quite a bit in it, but he includes that by virtue of his now living the new life and the old life simultaneously, he is now completely free. And he extends that freedom to his lovers, to those connected with him, saying that you can continue to stay with me and follow my orders. You can go elsewhere and follow my orders, or you can go wherever you choose and not follow my orders. And you will experience that freedom in accordance with in proportion to your merits of love, faith, and service. And he underscores it in the third circular when he extends his blessings to his lovers by saying, on this, my first real birthday. So it's this accomplishment of Manonash is an impressive marker in Baba's life and work. And he later, when it wasn't in a life circular, but when he gives up the board in Satara and says that the need for external connections is no longer necessary. It's a matter of internal connections with our beloved and with each other. That again says to me in these life messages, and it's kind of an open thing that I'm just exploring, and I'm inviting everybody to explore the significance of this life period. But it seems that he's saying, look within to me, and how do we do that? That's what, to me, what ties this to the Blue Bus tour and the Meher Baba journals, because that was the Baba's significant work in World War II, which again is a turning point. And when he first began talking about manifesting, and and at that period, he announces about this age of reason.
Who's speaking?
So he announces, let's see. I no longer see. Oh, I know. I can stop sharing. That's what it is. Oh, there it is. So it's then that he begins communicating through Norina in this intuitive connection that she has with the impersonal God in these articles. So that's what we'll be talking about on Sunday. And and then continuing next Thursday with the articles. Anybody?
Jonathan and Rosalie, thank you so much for your beautiful readings of this incredible writing
Yeah,
from the
Isn't it?
heart of Norina.
yeah,
It's exquisite.
it
And
is.
You can sense the rhythm of it, can't you?
And we were there. She's able to do what Erich used to say to me and others in the Mondeley Hall about telling stories, that you need to give so many details that the listener feels that they are experiencing that there with
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
that they were there. And that's how I felt today on
yeah,
this journey in 37 with Baba. And that Baba, at the beginning, it said that Norina said that Baba specifically came and asked her to write, as I took it, from the heart, from her
yeah,
heart.
yeah.
And she so has. It's so beautiful. And it's also beautiful for those of us that are a little bit familiar with Baba's what he calls his mystical language, to see little snippets of that.
Yeah.
So this is a gradual introduction to those bits, those seeds. But I tell you, pretty quick, we're going to get into the
We'll get further on.
he's going to begin to challenge the intellect to let go and look inward and just flow. And I really did sense it particularly. It is the rhythm. It is the rhythm of her
Yeah,
language.
yeah.
It comes from that. What he emphasizes, and it's the quote is in the announcement for Sunday's meeting. The importance is the source from where they come, and she was his instrument. And we'll be talking more about that this Sunday.
Well, you know, she put in her diary, because her diary came out first. I don't know what. I had her little paper back of her diary, and it says, Baba says in it, I put into you the desire to use your intellect to serve me. That service will initiate in you and in the world a new rhythm. This with a capital R, italicized, of pure and selfless love. It's so, and I went, wow. So when I heard that Scott McKay was sharing these, I didn't know about these mystical life messages, but I've always felt from the get-go, this is loaded treasure. The 40 messages, and like Adi said, he used to insert a letter in with every book, and that this will be the new Bible. It'll have that constant, significance. It's yeah.
Very special. And both of you, Baba's given the unique inner quality to be able to find that rhythm in how you're offering it back to us. So
Judy, what's so funny? And Baba just gave me this little snippet, you give little coincidences. But when I was called to come to Myrtle Beach 26 years ago, my landing day was December 8th. And that's the day that the blue bus took off.
right.
Journey. And I went, oh, no wonder. Because I was always wondering, why do you have me here, Baba? Why do you have me? I'm like a Californian, if anyone knows about California. But it's a little different, yeah. But anyway, I'm so grateful to have these and to be able to read them. You can read them to yourself. It's just, wow.
Well,
Speaking
I'm really
speaking
personally.
of the theme of Myrtle Beach, the Myrtle Beach connection, which it's been out for a while, but you may not have heard, but there is a connection to Mononosh in Myrtle Beach that
Hmm.
we'll also be discussing, and more particularly, something hidden in plain sight that's just incredible, that Baba made note to the world when he was here in May of
52.
52 about his Mononosh work. That kind of went unnoticed until 2022, hidden in plain sight.
Uh-huh.
So we'll talk about that on Sunday too.
And it's funny, how many people would even recall that Gustaji came with Bob in 52? How I found out was in my early 1971, when I first came to the center, Elizabeth Patterson says, "No, what cabin are you in there?" And I says, I'm in the near cabin. She says, "Oh," she says, "yes. That's where Gustaji, who would sit on his bed waiting for Baba's clap." And I thought, wow, you don't read about it. I've never heard anything since that Gustaji was there.
Right.
Wow.
What I love about Gustaji was when they came back after the accident, they stayed at, the men didn't stay at Yukon Dunes, but they were given a stipend to buy meals in the town. And so first of all, I just can imagine, in 1952 Myrtle Beach, 4 Indian men walking around, going to, and what did Gustaji eat? He only ate one thing.
Ice cream.
You want to hear that one? This is the other one. This is Scott's uh, excerpt from the article that he put to music, and Rosalie mentioned it when we began. It's going,
Which one?
be you,
be real, be one.
Be you, be real, be one. Be one in all, in I, in use of me. Be one in all, in I, in use of me. Be you, be real, be one. Be you,
Be real, be one.
That was great.
I tell you, sometimes one line, we'll have these long readings, and then one line will go, whoa, at me. And I just, like I have this little paper by the side of my bed when I wake up, and it says, "It is time to awaken you, the God." And some of the words are, it is time to awake is all capitals, in you, the God is all capped. And it's a good thing to wake up to, because you just think, oh, well, another day, what's going to happen. But it's time to wake up.
Did somebody want to say something? I thought
Hey,
I
Jay Baba, thank you, Jonathan and Rosalie. Just want to say thanks
thank
to
you,
you both.
Prakash, Jay Baba.
Wonderful
You
reading.
got
And
two Geminis on this end, so it's hard for us to stop talking.
Born the same day.
oh,
Like
Jay
we
Baba.
had the same birthday as Stan Laurel of Laurel and Hardy, June 16th.
I was going to mention that both Scott McCaig and Dr. Ann from Maribot were the guests a couple of years ago in France for a big Sahavas. And Anne, when I was talking with her afterwards, um, she said, "Oh, my favorite thing about the whole Sahavas was Scott giving us a chance to sing together what you just the
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
just sang to us, and so she would sing that, and anyway, it's very light and uplifting and
Oh, yeah.
inspiring.
He sang it first for us at the meeting with his daughter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it was
Actually,
what?
I think it was first though in France, and then
Oh, in
later-
France
yeah,
first, yeah. But then for us here that weren't blessed to go to the French Sahaba.
yeah.
No, Dr. Ann could probably sing it. 'Cause
Oh,
had
she
that
did. Yeah, she
Beautiful
sang it
voice, yeah.
over Skype and yeah. Well, wonderful. Thanks again. Thank you, Baba, for
Hey, Baba.
giving us the gift of your presence and your
It,
new awakening to all of us, all of our hearts.
You know, it's a new compendium of Baba's literature. And the one thing I think those all the quotes that we've known take on a different value
yeah,
when you
sure.
put in the intuition factor and you see them it brings them to life in another way. It's almost like infinite intelligence, bringing God speaks from the angle of imagination, put another
Yeah,
angle on
yeah.
it, and
That-
everything comes out in its time. And this does seem to be the time that Baba wants.
I really think it's a fast track to intuition. For me, I thought I can give up my language, because what have I done with my language? I was an excellent worrier. And that is like reason gone very bad. And Baba's calling card to me was don't worry, be happy. I won't say I've succeeded, but my God, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have the grace of Baba coming to me. Wow. Woo. Anyway, life as it is in the fast lane. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you all for
Jai
coming.
Baba.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mir Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jamie here, Baba.
Looking forward to next time.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sunday.
I'm
Imagine
hungry.
how many flat tires this blue bus had.
Yeah, we should count them.
Yeah. I mean, they were rolling over those rough roads with smooth tires. There was no tread to be checked, So it's kind of fitting.
All in.
Jai Mayor Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai
Yeah,
Baba.
Baba. This is a longtime resident of Zoom.